Greetings everyone and welcome back to Cosmoteer, where we're just about to fulfill our contract to destroy an enemy base. Now the tragic thing about this is despite it being a base, we get no fame increase. Very, very sad and a very good indicator that we should probably consider moving on before too long. Now, we do have a couple of outstanding quests, so I would like to finish those off at the very least, and they are actually technically a higher difficulty level than the quest just done. How are we doing over here taking things apart? But in this episode, I think it's kind of time for us to work on updating our ships. Now, outside of the Scarab's weapon system, which has been getting quite a lot of updates here and there, the Fire Ant hasn't had any updates in a very long time, and neither has the Hercules, and I feel of the three ships that haven't been updated recently, the Hercules is the most due an update. The Hercules probably does as much work for the fleet as the Scarab, if not a little bit more. Now, the Sun Lifter, as yet unnamed, I have decided on a name, kind of. So many people have suggested Moth. Now, Icarus again, if I had a penny for every time someone suggested Icarus, I probably wouldn't need to monetize my videos. But that Icarus doesn't really fit the insect theme. But Moth, now Moth does. However, I think I want a type of moth rather than the entire thing of moth. For example, Scarab, Hercules, Fire Ant. It isn't just ant, it isn't just beetle. So I would reach out to the more educated in the field of moths. I'm sure there is a term for that particular field of study. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is. Also, this... A defense station sandwich, I see. Let's see if we can't get you out of there. Let's swing off to the side, shall we? You've got much more thrust than either of these ships, so it's fine. You can move easy. I could just push one of them aside, I suppose. You know what? Let's actually try that out for once. How about let's go to a specific one, and we... Actually, can I select one in particular? Yes, I can. Push. And you also push. Get ye away. Thank you very much. Thank you. And that's all we need to do. There we are. That solved the problem neatly. Notice, though, this is actually giving us a good demonstration of how we do have lateral thrust, even without any thrusters pointing in that direction, but some of the thrusters have to work. All thrusters have a very, very small amount of lateral thrust. But, really, again, but it's nothing of consequence. If any ship was just pushing directly at the side, we wouldn't be able to keep pace. Unless they have very, very minimal lateral thrust, in which case maybe all of our engines combined would be able to, or rather thrusters, I should say, would be able to have those tiny little drips of lateral thrust be enough to equalize it, but I would doubt it, honestly. But yes, I'm pretty set on the idea of calling it a type of moth. Suggestions are very much welcome. Now, in this episode, we are going to be upgrading the Hercules. I'm going to try and take it slowly, just because that maximizes our ability to do the upgrade without having to drop by a station. That's part of the reason why I would like to do it, is increasingly I'm finding that I'm having to upgrade the other ships by having the Hercules do a few trips of mining and then refining and then filling up the kind of backup storage with specific things. I would like to dramatically increase the steel storage possible, and also maybe try and streamline our use of storages to ensure that certain amounts of materials are always available, that they're not just used up. The prime culprit is, of course, copper coils, because copper coils also feed in as an ingredient to both hypercoils and to our processor factory. I would instead like it to feed into a storage, which would then dedicate part of that storage to a specific copper coil storage, from which the factories will not take, and instead try to very specifically apportion part of the output of the copper coil factory to both hypercoils and processors, as the case may be. Just to try and make sure that we always have some available for our own building needs. Additionally, obviously, the elephant in the room, it goes less than 50 meters a second. We need to increase that speed. I know it's not the point of the Hercules to be fast, but it can afford to be a little faster. So, as we take apart the base and indeed the protective guard from the enemy base, we are going to go on a journey of rediscovery for the Hercules. I've got a couple of ideas already, but a lot of it is basically going to be expanding out the storage space. We're also going to need to upgrade the Sunlifter to have hyperdrive capacity before we leave the system. Otherwise, we'd be leaving it behind, and that would be an incredibly expensive loss. Right, let me get a little bit more salvaging done, and I will bring you back to the ship designer. Okay then, we've got a belly full of steel, and it's time to put that steel to good use. Now, one of the things that I would like to focus on is giving the Hercules, obviously, aside from more storage, is better maneuverability. I would also like to improve the use of its mining lasers, because a lot of the time the mining lasers aren't pulling enough power or aren't receiving enough power specifically to operate effectively. So I'm thinking that we're, in addition to extending the width of the Hercules, we're going to possibly double or maybe even triple the rear thrust. We are going to be keeping the maneuvering kind of nacelles on the side here, but I'm thinking instead of these occupying this space, we're going to put dedicated dual mining lasers on each side and then have the maneuvering thrusters a little bit beyond that. That will also allow for a widening of the storage space over here, and we'll have an upgrade of the thruster cluster right at the back as well. I think we're probably going to take a leaf out of the Sunlifter's book and redesign these primarily using large thrusters. Now, let's get started with, well, you may as well start at the top and work our way back. So, we want a better thruster cluster design. So, first we're going to want an engine room. Of course, I'm just going to pop this down in blueprint mode. There we go. Are we going to use this? No, we're not going to have mirror mode on for this one. I'm going to design one and then I'll mirror the whole project. Now, we want to have a decent amount of reverse thrust in this case, but I'm thinking we're going to want it a little bit more towards the side. There we go. Now, for this design, I would prefer not to have the thrusters buried, so we're probably just going to have something like that. This is mostly to slow the ship down and a little bit of steering. It's still more than we've currently got, so this will give us quite a lot of reverse thrust, especially when it gets paired with the nacelles down the back there. But we will be upgrading the energy. Now, realistically, we probably don't need a medium reactor here. Given that we're only running 3 large engines, I don't think this is going to be as necessary as it is for a ship like the Sunlifter to have all of this. Nevertheless, I think this should help out. I don't see any reason not to have it, basically. Again, we're going to need the crew in here, and I think, much like the Scarab, we're going to have all of the operations crew somewhere down here, and we will only have the crew responsible for delivering energy and the likes at the front. I think that will work out a lot better. So this entire cluster can be represented here. That should be everything we need. I don't think we're going to need more deliveries than this. I think 2 should be enough. But we might also add in a second one as well to handle any point defense, because I kind of would like some point defense over here. In fact, if we really, really wanted to, since this is almost certainly going to be more power than we need, I could finally give the Hercules some protection. That is a very tempting Very tempting proposition. So how about we attach this to the thruster cluster? I do apologize for rotating it incorrectly constantly. This is, again, you don't play a game for a little while and the control scheme goes completely out the window. By the way, thank you very much for your patience with that. And to everyone who's been inquiring after Tally, thank you first and foremost for taking the time to ask. But also, she's doing a lot better now. There was a little bit of a panic because she was struggling to put one of her feet down, and obviously with ferrets, well, actually, I guess not obviously for a lot of you, unless you've got ferrets yourselves, that is, in older ferrets, that can quite often be a sign that their time is coming. And obviously with Tally, I think a lot of you know that she's not very well. She's suffering with cancer, so you know it was a pretty grim sort of oh no, it might be the time to have the talk sort of thing. But it turned out that it probably was that she just she landed a little bit hard on her left front paw, which probably has a lot to do with the fact that she's basically a daredevil and doesn't believe in doing anything the safe way and will just hurl herself off any kind of platform she can. And being blind, she can't judge a distance quite so well anymore. So yeah, that she just kind of strained her wrist a little bit. Whether it will heal fully or not, don't know yet, but it's certainly a better outcome than I was preparing for. So if you've been wondering where the Cosmoteer has been for the last little while, well, I'm not going to paint it as anything than it actually was. I couldn't find my happies, and making videos when you kind of feel awful and you're worrying about your pet, whether or not she's going to survive. Yeah, that's a rough ask. That is a rough ask. You would not have been happy listening to the person I was if I was trying to feign a general level of okayness when it wasn't there. But everything is much better now. So thank you again for those who asked. It actually was incredibly kind of you. Right, so I think this will do as a thruster cluster design. And this could just slide on in over here without much additional work, I would say. We have lost this, but honestly, we've gained so much outward thrust that I don't think we need that little cheeky point there at all. We will want a corridor down here. As much as we don't technically need one, I would like to have one there, just to allow the rest of the crew to gain access. Now, with that being said, I guess I could shimmy this on up, but I'm not entirely sure that we need to. I mean, I could definitely have the hyperdrive positioned over here, and it would be glorious, and we could have it quite central as well. Well, I mean, there is something to be said about that. We could also store some of the jump fuel up here as well, which certainly wouldn't be a problem. And I could, because of how infrequently it's going to need to be loaded, we could possibly have the energy supplier responsible for loading the shield and the point defense responsible for loading this. I don't think that's a bad idea. And we could just slide that in on the side there. And that way, everything has access that needs access. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Just a little bit off. That would have been perfect, though. I'm going to be honest. That would have been absolutely marvelous. We will still have the passageway down here, I think, just running in that direction. So I might maneuver this around a little bit more instead. We'll separate them out. I might get a better efficiency if I have it a little bit further down as well, because there is a radius where this is efficient. And if I perhaps slid it down a little bit more, that would work out a little bit better. Right now, we're not getting a good indication of it because it's trying to pass this information in regards to the main bulk of the ship. All right, let's go ahead and just slide this on across, and we will see how that goes. Let's position that right there. There we are, and tonk. Right, that's going to be everything we need, except we don't actually need a door here, I don't think. We do want a door in here. I don't see a reason not to have one. That being said, I could just have the door only reaching into the reactor, and that does feel quite attractive. 2 doors, though, so someone can be going in and coming out at the same time. It's a shame we haven't got that over here, but it's just the way it's going to be. I think that will be good enough. So with that all done, let's go ahead. First and foremost, I want to grab you, cut, I now want to activate mirror mode, and then we want to slide this on across. There we go. That is going to be the new front of the Hercules. A nice big chunky shield to help out in times of duress, but otherwise it's more or less the same design. Now, in regards to storage, we should be able to fit this quite comfortably across there. Now we've massively expanded out our storage position. Now let's have a quick look at how this would look. It looks like realistically we kind of want this in the middle. We can definitely do that. I could even give it a dedicated crew to load it if I really wanted to get out of trouble immediately. And maybe having something like that for the Hercules isn't a bad call. Now, understand that I'm adding quite a lot of crew necessary to this design, and that isn't exactly the best thing. But still, I don't think it's a bad call in this scenario. We are ultimately going for an upgrade that I don't want to have to do again for quite some time. So we would have a dedicated storage for Hyperium, and we also want a small reactor dedicated to running the hyperdrive there. I think that is pretty much as good as we're going to get that, and that perfectly fits in there. I like it. I like it a lot. And then we would just need to bring down the armor a little bit. Now we've got a little bit more room over here at this point, which is always nice. What we're going to do with that room, I don't know. We could comfortably have some point defense along the side, perhaps a blister of point defense, something along these lines. We could do something like that, something capable of shooting down quite a lot of missiles if they're incoming, because we're not going to be putting shielding on this side, I don't think. I think that would be a step too far, if I'm honest with you. So we could do something instead like this. Let's flip that up there. There we go. So yeah, we could have a little blister of point defense here to help out. And at that case, how about we just do something like that? No, that's a bit too much of an angle now, I think. That's a shame, because I would have liked it to have more of a pronounced exhaust area there. Maybe we can still make this work, though. Also, I should probably turn off mirror mode as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see what we can do with point defense to make it make sense. And also, the more we add, the more we're going to need to power it. And I think having a dedicated crew person responsible for powering the point defense does make a lot of sense. So give me just a few moments and I shall bring it back to the majority of the storage at the front having changed up. Okay, I think that is a good overall design for our storage upgrade. Now, it isn't adding a great deal of storage initially, but this is a design I think we'll be able to replicate moving forward, and just basically adding more storage along the inside and just pushing all of the functional components further out. Maybe we'd add an extra shield or something along those lines somewhere down the line. But one thing that is standing out to me right now is that we are almost out of command points, which means we're probably going to need the biggest bridge available, the literal bridge. Now that's going to give us a whopping great deal of command points, but do we really need that many? Possibly not. Instead, we might want to go with 2 control rooms, which we could locate different parts of the ship, or we could still have rather central. I kind of like having the 2 control rooms central. But whatever we do, that is going to require us to actually extend the ship's width a little bit more, just in order to be able to continue with this design. That being said, since I'm going to be moving the miners, I could have the other bridge there if I really wanted to, or have them side by side. We might not actually need to extend it that much, but we are going to need to do something. So let's go ahead and just pencil this in for now. We're going to want a decent amount of power being pulled down, but honestly, 2 is more than enough. These do not pull a lot of power quickly. If we have a look at them with Alt, they only require 2 per minute. Most things measure their power consumption in seconds. This is more than enough. In fact, so much more than enough, we could consider throwing in a sensor. Now, if we do the center, where are we going to place the bridge? We'll probably move the second bridge down here, but I'm kind of increasingly thinking just widening the ship probably is the smarter move. So let's go ahead and just bite the bullet and do that, shall we? Let's grab everything here and yoink. There we go. I think having it... Well, we could honestly just have it one wider and we would be able to fit both bridges in the central area without any significant concerns. That also allows us to smarten up the armor layering here just a little bit. There we go. Something like that will do. And then all we need to do is drag you across and drag you up. And we've got two bridges side by side, both being fed. Well, ooh, yeah. Now, if we do it like this, we've now made everything an even number. Maybe we'll just squeeze it one more block aside. Look, okay, you don't need to make symmetry a part of your build, but sometimes it impresses itself upon your design process. Sometimes you want a little bit of organic symmetry. Sometimes you want a bit of organic asymmetry. Sometimes you want a little bit of chaos energy in your ship. But sometimes you just look at it and you think, nah, that just feels off. So we'll shunt everything to the side to accommodate this so that we can still run it off a perfectly aligned central reactor. Now that's going to cause a whole lot of mess, but it does give us enough extra command points for us to continue. Again, we can always expand out our storage in the future, but the chief things to note is the blisters of point defense along the sides. They will have a dedicated power supply and a dedicated bunk for energy supplies to run that power to where it needs to be. We will have a bunk for porters dedicated to each one of the jump cells. Either that, or I might allow them to do other things, but they will be particularly focused on running these, I think. Just to give us that ability to immediately jump should something bad happen. Because remember, while I am adding a little bit of extra defense to the ship, I'm not really giving it any real combat staying power. Now, the next part to tweak is to adjust the thrusters on the side here and also to install the mining laser. So give me a few moments to get that on the go. And then we might just go ahead and update the ship as is, just so that we get something functional in place. Give me just a few moments. Okay, what we've got currently is something that will work, but it is still a bit over our current ability to manufacture, especially in regards to the enriched uranium. However, the important part is the steel, because this is almost as much steel as I can store on this ship presently. So that being under is the important thing for me. Everything else, I do have the storage space for it, I just don't have it. So we're probably going to do this upgrade in two sections. First, we're going to complete this, and then using the much greater and expanded storage space, we will cap off the end. Now, what I'm thinking in regards to that is 2 or possibly 3 engine rooms, more or less focusing on forward thrust, though the ones on the side I may as well throw in a little bit of lateral thrust and use that for spinning the ship in place as well. As you can see, we've got significant expansion on storage. As far as the ops, these are the operator bunks, and these are all of the operators required to run the entire ship, including all of the lasers all of the time. Everything else then, we've got dedicated suppliers near the locations where they are required. At least as far as the jump drives at the front of the ship, we do also have the energy supplies and indeed the porters responsible for loading them. We have dedicated energy supplies for the point defense on the sides, as well as the shield at the front. Well, the shield at the front is also doing double duty for the point defense, but I think that one should be good enough, honestly. Now, ultimately, I want something similar to the storage arms that we've got up the front here, down the back as well. I'm not sure what we're going to do with this central area. Maybe just use it for spare storage, who knows. But this is enough of a job for us right now to get started with. Also, The crew requirement is rather large. That is gonna be painful. Especially considering that realistically, only a small amount of this is porters. Yeah, that one is genuinely gonna hurt a bit. But we'll get up there. Once we've got the Hercules fully designed to run, we'll distribute the crew as we need to try and make use of the primary systems. Largely make sure that it can move from place to place. We won't worry as much about the ability to mine because we've already got the Sunlifter who can do a very, very good job at that. But the main thing is the Hercules is going to be able to store enough materials that when it is full, that a big redesign like this will be possible entirely off the materials that we currently have stored. We're a far cry away from it though. We've got to get to some mining and also possibly some elimination of scallywags to boot. Now, we've got a couple of these missions nearby. We're definitely going to need a big fame upgrade in order to properly crew the Hercules, which is going to need to go from something like 40-odd crew. Currently, it's got 70 crew. I take that back. 70 crew. All the way up to nigh on 200. It is going to be a big old job. But leave that with me, and I'm going to get out and start scavenging, start mining, and also start killing enemies. I will bring you back for the fights, but you will get to skip all of the mining. And be thankful for that, because it's going to take me a while. Alright, whilst the Hercules heads back to the station, I believe it has all of the necessary materials completed its rebuild. I'm going to take the Scarab and the Fire Ant in for a bit of fun against a fugitive bounty, which is, in this case, the Rufescent. Let us find out about you then. Now, this is a level 13 mission, so hopefully we're going to get a decent prize from this one. Let's move in there. Fire Ant, you can move somewhere close by. Now, we're going to want to prepare for this attack relatively soon. In fact, as long as it's willing to come to us, it doesn't seem too bothered about it just yet, though. So we might find... in fact, let's have the Scarab hold tight there. No, this doesn't seem to be on its way. Okay, let's have a look at you. You've got a small hyperdrive, got a lot of HE missiles. I do believe we have fought you in the past. You're basically a base. Actually, you know what? Maybe I haven't fought you in the past. Either way, this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. It has got a single cockpit, though, and so naturally, we want everything to fire at that. Now let's have a watch of how the Scarab handles this particular opponent. There we go, all those shots firing, and now it's starting to give chase, but I should imagine the Scarab is not going to struggle to keep ahead, if I'm perfectly honest, especially as you change direction. Currently only one part of the Scarab is firing, so let's start fanning. There we go, all the way out here, and then in a second, all the way back. There we go. Wow! That destruction. Have you got another cockpit? No, I think you are in fact dead. Okay, that was staggeringly efficient. Straight down there popped everything. A couple of floating corpses. Don't pay attention. Well, we've got a good bit of salvage over here, so that's going to be a perfect one to bring the Hercules over for. Right, on that note, Hercules, 'tis time. 'Tis time to make it so. Alright, now that is a stonkingly massive upgrade. More than we really need, I should imagine, but we will see how this goes. Now, for the time being, I'm going to have to set up all of the storages separately. It's kind of a big potch, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. First thing we're going to want to do is I'm going to want to make sure that everything that has a dedicated purpose, such as these storages, are assigned correctly. And then I'm going to try and balance out the materials available. These ones are very important because these are dedicated storages that then feed other things, whereas everything else should feed into these first and then into the other factory. So give me a few minutes to finish setting up all of the crew assignments and the various cargo bays with their dependencies. And I shall bring you back to a ship which will probably undermanned, but for the most part should be working, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay, there we go. Now, it's gonna be a bit of a mess, so prepare yourselves. But first and foremost, we've got the crew assignments. They're fairly standard, but yeah, again, a bit of a mess. You're gonna have to trust me that this is wired correctly, because it's kind of hard to see. But we've got our 24 operators operating all of the required devices that require crew to man them. We've got the energy supplies set up to handle a few different locations. Now, this one's actually worth drawing attention to. I have, of course, set up the power grids to power specific systems. So, for example, these large ones on the side, they're just focused on the mining lasers and the engine room. But this one is responsible for running all of the factories. So instead of having a dedicated supplier for the factories, I'm simply piggybanking off the fact that the supplier over here does not need to be particularly busy keeping the bridges, or rather the control rooms, stocked with power, so they can also help out with the factories. But that is definitely something I'm going to have to pay attention to. If having all the factories running means that we don't get enough power to the control rooms, then I'll have to give them a dedicated supplier. But the usual fare, a supplier who is responsible only for bringing power to the engine room, suppliers that are only responsible for bringing power to their respective mining lasers. This power plant does have an extra supplier because it's also helping out with the supply to power for the point defense. These ones have dedicated suppliers. Now, we are not fully crewed, so there is lots of room for us to improve things. Each of the jump drives has a dedicated energy supplier, dedicated porter, and of course we've got the energy supplies up here hooked up to the correct items. Now, I haven't set them up with access to the fire extinguishers. That will come in a moment. Oh my lord, this is a nightmare. We've got general storage down here. Now, ultimately, I kind of want everything down here past this point to be general storage, and then we'll fit all of the varying things like missiles and such up in the storages here. That being said, we do need to have a fair old stockpile of missiles. But insofar as the storage assignments, we've got everything on this side is steel. Everything down here is tri-steel, hypercoils, and they go up a little ways, and then regular copper coils. We've got processors in these two little nooks. We've got diamonds in these, well, 4 I should say, but mirrored, 2 mirrored rather. We've got the enriched uranium down here, room for mines, heavy rockets, nukes, only 1 for ammo, because honestly, most of the ships that are going to need cannon ammo will manufacture it themselves, but I figured I may as well have a little space for that as well. And then EMP missiles over these spaces. These are currently the only general stockpiles, so all of these try to give to all of these, and then from here each one goes out to a specific factory that uses it. It might not be the most efficient system, but hopefully it's going to carry us forward, and I'll tweak it as needed. Now, let's have a look at the all-important, can we get some more crew? Please tell me this is in fact the case. Right, Fugitive Bounty does give us a little bit more fame. Oh, that's fantastic. We've got a little bit more room besides. Another level 13 should be enough to take us to maximum crew. Right, go ahead, hire 11 more crew. Oh, fantastic. Marvelous. Wonderful. Let's get those crew over here. This is a joyous occasion. No, stop doing other work. Damn it, I paid for you. Get over here. Stop helping them and help me. You are a kind soul. Perhaps too gentle for this world. Right, so having a look now, our porters are going to start hurriedly moving things around now that we've actually got some. But unfortunately, I do still need to make sure that all of these are actually crewed properly, because right now we can't jump. We don't have enough people in these positions to actually go anywhere. So the 11 crew that we just hired are very quickly going to be reassigned over here, and we're going to be back to having very few general porters, which is a bit of a problem for us, if I'm perfectly honest. But I'm very, very happy with having that all done. Now, let's go and find the Scarab and the Fire Ant, and let's perhaps try out this little spot down here, though I would love a fugitive bounty, because that's only 2 enemies at a time. Those are going to be a little bit easier for us to manage. I don't believe there are any more quests, thankfully. We've got a couple of unknown signals around, so we'll probably find another station or 2 around the place. But where I can, I'm going to go for the fugitive bounties, because tackling 12 small ships is just... it's more annoying than it is difficult. The Scarab will pop them one at a time, but in an asteroid field as well, which quite often they are, it just gets irritating. So let's instead go and take a peek at what you are and what you're doing. Though on the way, let's have a quick check out down here. Hyperjump beacon. Okay, very nice, very nice. We're going to need to get a couple of those on the go ever so soon. Right, Scarab, let's take you in to find out who we've got over here. This is Acolyte of Adara. Okay, and we've got a Pirate Hunter over yonder. Okay, we might want to tackle both of them if we get the chance. Though, I had not paid attention to the fact that you are out of regular missiles. That's another reason why I don't super relish taking on like 12 enemies at a time. It's because we end up having the Fire Ant deplete its entire missile stores. Now, let's have a look. What do we want to punch into? Well, taking out these would shut the ship down, but realistic... oh, there's so many shields, though. We can probably punch in through there. So, let's hope that you're fast enough to keep pace away from you. And let's bring you in close enough that we're able to try and burrow through and take that out with everything that you've got. We'll see if we can use the nukes on this one, just to wrap this fight up quickly, because we've got a Pirate Hunter on our tail. Right, fire when ready, Scarab. Let's make sure that you're actually targeting that properly. There we go. And let's fan across, about there first, and then the other way. Now that we've got a proper view. There we go. And pop. God, that's amazing when it works. It is truly, truly terrifyingly powerful. At this point, it feels like really there's no reason for me to do anything but expand the Scarab as my combat vehicle. And that disappoints me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. It feels... yeah. Oh my goodness. It is disgusting how effective that weapon is. Absolutely disgusting. If I expanded this out to another pair of rails on either side, this would probably be able to pop any ship. Mind you, I imagine we're going to start facing ships that are going to do the same thing back, but dear lord, it is effective. Okay, well, Fire Ant, there's no reason for you to get involved in that little engagement now. Let's spin around instead and take on the Peregrine. And if we could, I would very much like to not pop the reactors on the Peregrine. If that could be a thing that we achieve, I would be deeply, deeply satisfied with it, because that is enriched uranium right there. Let's have the Hercules make their way up. Actually, that being said, no. First, Hercules, go ahead and quickly have a shitty chat. Turn in this. There we go. And we are very close to our fame limit now. But that's another 11 crew, which is glorious. So you just pop on in there for a second. And let's have a watch of how the Scarab takes on this opponent. Can you, at all, rake the rails across it? Let's have a watch. And let's make double sure that you are actually going to do that properly. Can the rails attack? There, perhaps? No? Ah, drat, they're getting away. Okay, well, we don't strictly need to engage, but I would kind of like it if you would. By all means, follow them along. And the Hercules, once it's got all of its crew complement, which of course is going to take a little bit. Right, the Scarab is now properly chasing. When the Scarab turns around, I'll know it's about to engage, so we'll just keep the little camera on that there. There we go. Hercules is good. Right, Hercules, let's get ye over here, please, and thank you. There we are. Oh, of course, we're going to have the all of the mining lasers now, 4 of them. We have greatly improved that. And it's not just doubling up the number of mining lasers from 2 to 4, because it couldn't always run all 2 of its mining lasers. I say all 2, both of his mining lasers, I guess I should say. Right, well, they're not having any of it, it seems. Very well, let's go for you. Let's have a look. You've got 4 cockpits. Interesting design. I don't think I'm going to be able to engage you properly without popping you. And let's make sure that that happens. All targets. And just fan the rails across. Okay, never mind. It is wise to us and decided to stop. Clever. There's one side gone. And let's pop the other one and then we'll go for the next. And at this point, just fan straight back across. And there we go. Enemy down. Alright, well that was nice and easy. Let's see what we can do finding this enemy over here. There we go. Continue to give chase, Scarab. But yeah, I'm thinking of ways that I could improve the Scarab. I don't think the ions are the thing. They're very, very costly to run. Perhaps a deck cannon, just for those times when something manages to catch the Scarab off guard, or perhaps even approach it from the flank. Then something close range would be useful, because right now these are only forward-firing weapons, whereas a deck gun would be able to fire 360 degrees around, or at least I believe it's 360. It might have a little bit of a firing angle, much like the mining lasers. Let's have a look. Starts firing. Starts fires 40% chance. Firing arc is 270, so I could have them pointing to the side. And so each one wouldn't be able to fire on the same target as the other, but that's honestly okay by me, if I'm perfectly honest there. I think ultimately just leaning into the rails is where the Scarab's going to go, because there's no reason to do anything else. Having the deck guns would just be insurance against something sneaking up on us, but mostly it would be more thrusters and more rails. Which I'm okay with, though it is a little bit boring. I would much prefer if there was some more variety to the weapon system, but honestly, what works, works. That being said, maybe some EMP missiles wouldn't go amiss. Let's try and take you on if we can. Now, are we going to be able to get in close enough? No, probably not. So let's get closer, try and chase them down. Scarab is going to be slow, unfortunately. Can we get close enough to draw their ire? We might be able to. Keep it up. If we move you in a bit closer, maybe the other one is going to come up this way. Perhaps. The Scarab is not fast, which is one of its greatest weaknesses. Oh, wait. This might be an opportunity. Right, okay. We can almost certainly get you this time. Let's get right in there. There we go. Please pop. Now, let's slow down time so that we'll spin about. Okay, we've got EMPs inbound. 1 down, 2 down, 3 about to be down. Let's fan all the way through. Okay, we're going to take a fair bit of damage here, if I'm perfectly honest. This might be a rough one. I could always try to fan across and pop the ion. That may be the best thing for me to do. We are losing shields in the middle. That's fine for now. We've got enough time to deal with that. Now let's fan back. It's about the only thing that will threaten the Scarab at this point. There we go. Both of them down. That has greatly diminished the ability of the enemy here to engage us. Let's have everything try and target down here. Though we are shedding components here and there. The main thing, though, is that we don't lose the rails. Those are the really expensive things to replace. So let's slow things down a bit. Got more missile fire incoming. Let's swing back. Come on, let's fire. This is going to take some time to get through, though, unfortunately. I could, of course, just plow down through these. But yeah, the disruptors are a big issue. They're shutting down the shields really, really quite fast. Alright, let's have you get nice in close and personal. Why are the... oh no. one of those days, I'm afraid. Let's get you linked up properly. Actually, let's have you link over this way. I was wondering why the ions weren't firing. I just assumed that I was out of range. It's been so long since I've needed to use them. So long. But we've lost the crystal on that side already. That's a bit of an issue. Is it gone? Yeah, it's completely gone. Okay, fair enough. Cancel the target there. Right. Well, let's have everything on the Scarab attack here. The ion will now kick in. Let's allow you to finish fanning. But, yeah, go all the way around. There we go. Now fan all the way back. Hopefully. Got a lot of armor to pierce through. Start swinging back around. And again. Thankfully, our reload is incredible. But had our rails been firing that entire time, it would have been perfect. Oh, did we just lose the crystal? We did. That's a shame. Oh well. The point defense is doing amazing work, though, I must say. Come on, we're almost there. Honestly, it's just going to be wiggling back and forth until the enemy is destroyed. There we go. But that was a costly engagement. And no mistake. Let's see how much that is going to set us back in terms of repair costs. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of cool to see this guy having a bit of being in a bit of trouble, and that's part of the problem, I think, is having to enjoy the moments when a mistake causes my ship to take a lot more damage than it should. What we could do right now is get the crew out there salvaging. That should help out a little bit. So you crack on with that. We're going to just have to hope that you don't make your way down here. The Hercules is going to be slow getting over here, though. What I may need to do... Were we dragging something? No, we're not. So why are we not getting power over here? Ah, we don't have someone set up in there. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's... and this is the way that I managed my crew and moved them between necessary areas. I'll filter to the least important job. I will select the whole ship. That gives me all of the porters, and I want these ones in particular. And then I will assign 2 over there. Then I'll select another group, then look for another area that doesn't have the correct amount, and just slowly, little by little, I'll move the crew where they need to be. But yeah, one of the thruster clusters doesn't have its crew in position. Okay, now give me a few moments to get the ships back together, and we'll get the Scarab repaired. Oh, actually, I shouldn't have done that, should I? I've got the crew are currently salvaging. You know what? I might just let them continue that while I wait for the Hercules. I'm a little bit concerned that another ship around there is going to pop over and cause all kinds of trouble, but for now, things look okay. This engine is struggling, though. Interesting, very interesting. Despite getting a huge amount of power pulled in, it may be worth just popping in a little door right there. In fact, that should have been done a while ago. There we go. That should allow them to bring the power in straight away. And there we go. We're sustaining it. And it's quite often something that simple. But we are draining this as, well, pretty much as quickly as it can fill. We're emptying it, which is an interesting place to be. Now, where are you headed? Hopefully not toward us. No, not so far. In fact, actually, Hercules, you reposition. There we go. These added engines are definitely helping out. Now then, at this point, enable all. Scavenge the everything out of these ships. Move around a little bit, though. There we are. We should see all of the mining lasers kicking in. They're pulsing because I'm moving stuff around, but I want to get a little bit closer so that my porters can have a bit of a better chance to get out there, since there's so few of them. Right, I'm going to get the Scarab repaired, and I shall see you back in just a moment. Okay, there we go. The Scarab is fully patched up and recrewed. We had lost 2 crew in the explosions on the thruster cluster nacelles. But now we've got an enemy heading back, so let's get out there and deal with them so that the Hercules can continue to mine in peace. Oh, wait. The Hercules has not sent the crew across yet. Let's not leave them behind, eh? Uh-oh. This is going to be a bit of an awkward moment. Hi is what I'm going to open with. Hercules, try and shimmy across. Oh my lord. You've got awful timing, mate. Or perhaps the best timing, actually, thinking about it. Let's bring the rails across if we can. And then back the other way. Try and pop this as quickly as we are able. Oh, actually. Okay, let's... Ooh, haha. We're going to need all of you connected. Almost forgot again. That one is going to need to be connected. There we go. Right, Scarab. Let's try and burrow through. That's all we need to do. And if we can hit that shot, it will go down. So let's rake the rails across. And there we go. That's one down. And may well have taken out their bridge. Is it dead? It is in fact dead. Never mind. Okay, not too bad. That was perfect as far as engagements go, but this is very much not a safe place anymore. I'm going to say, with some confidence, that we probably don't really want to be here, but here is where we are. Right, Hercules continuing to mine. Alright, let's just check in on the Scarab. A little bit of repair needed. Crew needed? No, we're full on crew. How about the Fire Ant? Fire Ant needs no repairs. And crew-wise, full complement. Okay. Right, we've removed the pirate head. That was a 13 to 15. Ooh. Now then, this one may well pay us a decent amount. Let's actually jump over to the Dapper 4 and see what kind of reward we have available for this one. How much fame? 266. Now we are cooking with fire. And we've also got to rescue another station for a level 14 quest. Okay, so this system does have a little bit more for us to do here. I am very much on board with this. Very, very much on board indeed. But I think we're going to be out of time for this episode. I do hope you have enjoyed the return to Cosmoteer. I'm a little bit surprised that we've got more to do here. I was kind of expecting us to just come back, rebuild the Hercules, and then move on. But no, it seems that we can milk this system for a little bit more fame. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, in the next episode, I may well begin adjusting the Scarab. Do let me know what you think in regards to its weapon systems. I am fairly certain we're going to be swapping out the central ions for something like a deck gun. But there is a case to be made for missiles as well, especially EMP missiles, nice long-range missiles for a long-range combatant. So let me know what you're thinking about that, and also, of course, let me know what you think about the redesign for the Hercules. It is a long overdue. We have needed more carrying capacity for far, far longer than we should have, and I'm very glad to be getting that put together now. I'm also pretty happy with the massive upscaling of the Hercules point defense, but we're going to have to expand that at the rear more than a little. Right now, this whole aft section is kind of letting the ship down. But that is going to be it from me. I really do hope you've enjoyed. I hope you're looking forward to the next. But until next time, do take care, everyone.